an unsung hero, the legend that has never had anyone kick out of the 12 gauge, and one of the best promoters in professional wrestling and all of Georgia. Currently, Mr. Rocky Shaw is going to be here, and I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a great ride for you guys. And before we get there, we're going to head over to the live scene first, and I'm going to show you right here on Facebook, the 12 gauge Rocky Shaw is the place where you want to go to follow this man. Go ahead and get him a follow right here and send him a message if you want to talk to him directly. And then also on YouTube, he has the @12 gauge Uncut podcast, and he will be here. Without further ado, let's get right into it with none other than Mr. Rocky Shaw. Mr. Rocky Shaw, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing awesome, Joseph. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for agreeing to be here, first of all. So Mr. Rocky Shaw, I have to ask you about your journey in wrestling from your very humble beginnings. How did you break into the business? Who trained you? And how has the ride been so far?
All right. Well, first of all, let's drop that mister. Just call me Rocky. I'm not that old yet. So, and hopefully I never will get old enough that I'll demand to be called mister. So, with that being said, let's see if I can start off where you were. You launched some questions at me there. So, who was I trained by? I caught that part. So I was actually trained by, I started out, this is kind of a really, well, I guess it's not such an odd story for most of you guys. All wrestlers start out because we're backyard kids, right? Everybody really starts out, even though we said, you don't try this at home, you did.
Everybody's tried it at home.
Yes. So I started out in Sherwood Forest in Rome, Georgia, my best friend's granddaddy had basically a set of pine trees that almost made a perfect ring. The way they were laid out. We started wrestling on the hard ground, and me and him every day after school, book bags down at the right at the edge of the driveway we got dropped off at. We take off, we get our drinks or whatever on, and we head down and we plan out our wrestling, whatever. And, we bring some of the other neighborhood kids in. They didn't stick around very long. They did not enjoy this as much as we did. So we had a ball. We'd wrestle until dark. I wish I had the cardio that I had then, continued into the ring, but we did. We got injured every now and then. I got some broken ribs jumping off doing a splash from a tree onto my buddy. But those are the things. So then I kind of got started a little bit later in life. I was in my 40s when I actually decided the opportunity came in. I'd gotten probably the best shape of my life, and a gentleman by the name of David Holbrook was running a kind of an outlaw promotion called RWE at the time. The guys weren't really trained. They kind of had a semi-trainer, and at that point in time, I'd already learned Jeet Kune Do. I was well-versed in martial arts. So I came into wrestling a little strange because I was already a shoot fighter. I knew how to fight just well. Now, how to not hurt someone doing it was a whole different situation. So I became, I kind of got into that. Big Cash, Caleb Ogles, was one of the guys they had actually training for there. He had been training with Mike Golden at the time. And so Cash kind of trained me, and it's funny, the older guys, even David Holbrook himself, kind of wrote me off as I'm the older guy. I probably don't even belong in the ring with the 20-year-olds, in the mid-20s and so forth. But Caleb was like, "Oh, Rock, you got it, come on." And I kept up, and I'll probably say easily surpassed any of those that were there, to the point where I got myself noticed by the promoters that were running KLT at the time, Sean Ambrose, Todd Zane, and War Daddy. And so I get a call after I kind of really had took RWE as far as I felt like it was going to work for me, or I was going to do anything for me. And I actually probably decided that was probably all that was going to happen. I'm at the gym one day, my phone rings, and a guy by the name of Tony Potts said, "Hey, I've got a buddy called named Sean Ambrose. Do you know him?" I said, "Yeah, I know who Sean is." And he said, "Sean wants to talk to you." And so he said, "Would you willing to talk to him?" So he gave me his number. I call Sean. Sean discussed me. He said, "Well, have you really been formally trained?" No, I'm honest with him. I have not had formal training. And he says, "Well, we've talked to KLT. We want you to start. We want you to come in, and we will train you." Well, I knew Mike Golden. Mike Golden was not the cheapest thing to do, to train with. And my problem at that point in time is, at that point in time, me and my wife were both working, but she had a condition called polycystic kidney disease. So she was having to get a transplant, and their money was not going to be an option that I had something to spend, especially on me and myself at that point in time. So we discussed that, and Todd and Ward Eddie and them come up with a situation where basically I would work with KLT. I'd be exclusive to them at that time, and they would train me. That would be my, I would trade off that for the training. And so we did that. I went to a lot of training, and Mike's not old. I mean, he's a little too old to be taking bumps at this point in time. Well, he had someone called Bobby Moore. Bobby actually did a lot of my training at that point. Probably 7-8 months into that, someone that you're going to be very familiar with that used to be in the WWE came into my life as an opportunity, Jimmy Wang Yang. So Jimmy was going to be working with Jazzy there, and Todd had talked to Jimmy, and Jimmy agreed to actually take me on as a favor too, and I could work with Jazzy, Pepper Bottom, Zach Mosley, and Chris Kamikaze came in for a little bit of time during there and trained with us. So that's kind of, I will give Jimmy credit to. I mean, my basics come from Bobby Moore, I would say, for the most part, and then the more advanced skills that I got, understanding the storytelling, how to put a match together, that would have been Jimmy Wang Yang. And I'd be remiss. There's so many people I've got to work with that are legends that had so much time to put into me to teach me different things. The Butcher Bobby Hayes taught me a lot. Mr. Atlanta 2, Mr. Atlanta 1, excuse me, there is Mr. Atlanta, had done a lot of teaching me. Me and him are not on good terms right now, which, he holds a grudge, but I still give him his credit and his flowers. He did a lot of teaching for me that I learned today and that I'm implementing into my everyday psychology in the ring.
Well, that's been a heck of a ride. I would especially say from being a fan first and now to being to where you're able to host your own show, being a multimedia sensation, a social media sensation. You have just taken it by storm. Tell us how and what drove you to want to give back to the business, knowing that there's a lot of people in the journalism business that aren't accepted into the wrestling business.
Man, that's not even a small joke. To be honest, like even now, I get so much rejection for the fact that when I got into the ring and my promotion skills, along with where I was set up and the opportunities given to me by those people that I spoke about, I went straight to the top really quick. And with the fans, that entails in this day and age a lot of jealousy. There's people that have been doing this for 10, 15 years, and they are probably better wrestlers than me in the ring physically, or maybe, what they can do capability wise. But there's other it factors they didn't have that got me where they didn't get to quicker. And so, my understanding of the social media and the marketing and how to reach out to people and how to connect with people, I'm very genuine. And I still think a lot of people now in this day and age forget in wrestling at one time was kayfabe, and it was so important.
Oh, 100%.
But now the curtain's open. People can see you. If I'm at Walmart, someone's going to post a video of me at Walmart.
Right.
there's the very fine line of Rocky Shaw, the man outside, and Rocky Shaw, the wrestler. They can see through that wall now. So you have to have a different approach where they both understand that, let's see, somebody I can think of right off the top of my head. Tom Cruise is an awesome dude. If you ever see him, he's really short. He doesn't look near as big as he is on movies. And he's also not that guy that you see on the movies. He's not a vampire. He's not,
Right.
He's not in a jet plane. He's not Maverick. So we have to understand that we enjoy our time as suspended belief, but we have to understand that we also have a job, and what we do for you is, we do sacrifice our bodies. Those bumps are hard, but we have to learn how to find a way to genuinely connect with our real selves to our audience and fans.
Well, see, that's very important because Dr. Tom, who actually I did his social media class and learned a lot from him in JPWA, he told us that if you could talk, you didn't have to wrestle. But if you could wrestle, you never had to talk. But if you could do both, you would always have a job. And that's always stuck with me. And I say that quite a bit. I run that quite a bit across this. Is in journalism. So I told you I started with Dr. Tom, got that route out there. And I'm going to tell you, we moved to the CW. We were trying to get on the CW with Harley Race's World League at the time, trying to get him in Houston. And it just worked out a miracle that we worked into the business the way that we worked into, but we were greeted with so much hate and so much distraughtness. And so, I mean, it's like we were the enemy from day one. So I know that you felt a little bit of the blowback too. And there's always going to be somebody who has an opinion about what you're doing now versus what you did in the ring 10 or 15 years ago. And we came from a media side. So I know the whole media journey from it is we're complete outsiders coming in, but we want to be a part of it to the best that we can. And just like you said, there's a whole different side of the business where it's just like you said about Tom Cruise, where he's an actor first, but whenever he's off duty and he's a different person. And the person that really opened that up to me was Harley Race. Harley Race opened us up with open arms, and he told me the truth. He said, you're going to be hated from day one. Doesn't matter where you go, what you do, you're always going to run into people that are going to hate you. And he said, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to win them over, and you're going to have to do it by being consistent with them and at least being fair with everybody. Even if you're hard on them, you got to be fair with everybody. So that's what we do. Do you have any thoughts on that, sir?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to say something right now, and you're going to notice we're probably going to lose 5 people watching right away. Is your haters are also your fans.
Yeah, they are.
They're still watching. There's somebody right now that will cuss me from one end to the other every time he says my name. And I guarantee you they're watching this podcast right now.
They watch everything you do. Yeah, absolutely.
So I take that as a plus. I'm like, hey, whether they're booing me or they're cheering me, they're still watching me.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And so, yeah, absolutely. You can't, in this business, you can't win. You can't be, and I just, in my social media thing, I just cut a podcast that will go live next week on that, is stop trying to be a people pleaser.
Well, Mr. Shaw, earlier in the week, you cut a podcast talking about how you met Sting and also how you met Harley Race for the first time, and how it was very important that Sting took you in and under his wing and brought you to his car and signed for him. Would you like to discuss that a little bit? The reason I'm saying that is because there's a lot of people that are in the wrestling business that don't realize that just one little act could turn an entire generation on or off from being a fan of theirs.
Yes, absolutely. I'll give you two sides to that story. First of all, I'll give you the Sting one was obviously me and my best friend Jeremy went to Dillard's music park. And it was in Rome, Georgia. That was at one time the legendary place that all wrestling happened. Well, we went through, and at the end of the event was trying to get autographs. And the first person we see was the babyface walking out from around the area, but he come across, he had a towel around him, was Davey Boy Smith. Davey Boy was not friendly. He was very rude and told us to get the hell away from him. And when we asked for an autograph, we were both just wow, shocked, because this is, one of our heroes, a babyface that everybody cheered for. And he just shot us down completely. And we were kind of reeling, and that's when we heard the voice pop and say, "Hey guys, I'm about to go to my car. If y'all like to come out and talk to me, I'll give you some autographs." Turn around. Sting has his face paint off, but that's that blonde hair and the rat tail. We know exactly who it is. And so immediately we were out of the shock of Davey Boy and done with it. We were ready to go. And Sting slides up on the car, very 80s style. He slides up on the hood of his car and puts his feet up, window, back and get propped against the window, taking his pen, signing the autographs and everything. And but then he's asking us questions too. Is this your first wrestling event? How long have you been watching wrestling? Who's your favorite wrestlers? And we tell him that, we want to be wrestlers. And, he doesn't crush that thought or, anything else. And he's very, we're young. So he doesn't need to, tell us how it has to happen at this point in time. But, he was very encouraging, was a great guy. And he left a lasting impression on us. That was one of the reasons that I ever still pursued wrestling to begin with then. And to say that, and you said that what it means to one of us to make a impression on people, as one of our last shows in Calhoun, Georgia, we ran a Forever Pro show. And one of the family members of Dan the Man, which is our announcer, I didn't know it was a family member of Dan's at the time, but it was his brother and his brother and his other brother is handicapped, and he's nonverbal. And he was sitting there, and I saw him watching the wrestling, and he seemed, excited about it as far as I could tell. But in my heart, I felt like, this kid is at a wrestling event and he don't have a wrestling shirt or any merch. So I tap his brother on the arm and I said, "Excuse me, sir, do you mind? Can I give him a t-shirt?" And he was like, "Yeah, that would be great if you would do that." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And so I said, "What size is it?" So I get his size. I give him the shirt, and you could just see, even though he was nonverbal, he was lit up. He was excited, and I was glad to do that because I wanted to leave an impression. So Dan calls me or tells me at the next show. He said, "Do you know this kid?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember the kid." He says, "Well, I want to tell you what that meant to him." He said he went home and was showing it to everybody. He slept in the shirt and everything else. He said that changed his entire world. And for me, that was the coolest thing. I don't care about the $20 I could have got the shirt for the t-shirt. It was cooler to know that I made a lasting impression on someone in this business, no matter how small that was.
And it doesn't matter where you go or what you do, that person is going to support you no matter what, forever.
Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you're good or bad, if you're a heel or you're a baby face, they're going to support you forever.
Yes.
So we met, we're just name dropping here. We got to meet Matt Cardona at Carnes High School earlier in the year. Now we've met him a couple times before, but we've always got a chance to talk to him and get his dates and try to put them out there for him. And he's just real rough and gruff around the edges. He's always, "Hey, what do you want? Hey, I've got paying customers behind you. Move out of the way, and I'm going to get them, and I'm going to come back to you." But he always comes back to us. So, and he said it kind of rough to us whenever we were there because he had a line, and we were in line waiting to get to him. And he made us wait about 25 minutes. But he came over to us. He said, "Look, I'm sorry for making you wait, but you got to realize they're paying me." And he said, "I know that you're wanting to get my dates. You always want to get my dates. You're always ready for me." He said, "But I've got to take care of them first because they're going to be the ones at the end of the day that will either remember me forever or they're going to remember me as being bad to them forever. And I have to make sure that their money is just as good as you waiting for dates on me." And that hit me like a ton of bricks when he said it. This one little lasting impression that he had in that line, if he would have taken me and just bull crapped with me for 10 minutes before getting to them, he would have drove somebody off because they wouldn't have wanted to wait on him. And he knew I was going to be willing to wait to get what was going on with him. So you did absolutely the right thing. And it built a fan for life for those people that are just right behind me, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm extremely proud. Now you mentioned something just a second ago. You mentioned one of the hottest promotions in Georgia currently, and also in Tennessee, because you were in Chattanooga, Tennessee, just a couple weeks ago at the VFW. You mentioned
Yes, we
Forever
were.
Pro Wrestling. So let's talk about that for just a minute. I'm highly impressed with the work ethic and the talent that's out there in Forever Pro Wrestling. Is there anyone in particular that shines out and stands out to you, and what makes that promotion so special?
Well, the thing with Forever Pro is there's not just one person. We've got so much great talent that, I mean, I'm envious of the great talent that we have. I mean, so I can only imagine that. I know we've caused a stir, and if I was the other promotions, I'd be terrified too. I mean, you've got, I would first say Kevin Ryan. This is Kevin Ryan's baby. If you, and I know you have, you saw Kevin Ryan work.
Oh, yes, sir.
Kevin is amazing. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves at this point in time. He's young and still has so much more to do. And if I have anything to do with it, that boy's going to be at the top, you know, sooner or later, because I'm going to help push him as far as I can actually get him to the moon. But along with the other guys too, there we have Chris Kronk, and Chris, I mean, he's one of those people that you hear people say, dude could wrestle with a broomstick and make it look good. Chris is that guy. And Chris is not selfish at all. He's going to take care of everyone in the locker room. He is the locker room leader. He just has that where people are going to go to him. Amazing dude. Whether he's working babyface or heel, he can do either one so well. When you go to then Jameson Shook, he just got on the Power 5
he sure
PWI. And there's, I mean, you know, Jameson's energy. I mean, and I don't know. I don't think you were there at the last, it was not the VFW, Sweet Melinda's.
I wasn't at Sweet Melinda's.
Okay. He had a match where they came up with a game of Uno inside of a wrestling match. I have never, and for me, you know, initially that old school side of me was like, what in the hell is
going on?
doing?
Right.
But I'm watching the crowd, especially the younger crowd, just enamored by this creativity and what they're doing in this match. And I'm like, these guys are geniuses. They thought of a new way to innovate a wrestling match that we've never thought of. And not to mention had the balls to actually pull it off, you know. So that's the things that I see now is like so much creativity in Forever Pro. And Kevin just encourages it. I mean, he's never, we get together, me, him, Ben Thrasher, big shout out to Big Ben. We couldn't do what we do without Ben's booking skills. Ben has, you know, with me, him and Kevin sit together, and I just, you're talking about a terrible three. If you were talking about any other promotion, if you want to come up against three minds of wrestling, I mean, you know, they're watching right now and they're mad.
It's the three geniuses of wrestling. Come on, don't lie to yourself.
Well, thank you for putting this over on that one. But yes, I will say, yes, I will agree. There are three geniuses there sitting there coming up with wrestling stories, how to innovate, and we're listening to the wrestlers. Hey, guess what? Bookers never listen to us. So now they're talking back to us, and we're taking these ideas in and going, hey, what else could we do? And how do we cultivate that? And there's so much difference. I've never been in a locker room in the back without the guys bitching and moaning about the drama and everything else. Everyone else out there shakes my hand. We talk. We say, hey, anything you can do? They ask about, you know, what they can do to help out. They have ideas, and they're willing to, and they know that we're willing to open them. I'm not going to just turn around and go, shut up. You know, I don't want to hear your ideas. I know everything. But that's not the environment we have. So this is I mean, to be honest, before this, I was pretty much ready to be done with wrestling because of all the drama and the disheartening there.
Well, you've kind of hit it on the head. There's a lot of promotions that are just nothing but drama, and it's from the top down. It's not, and I'm not trying to be the evil man in professional wrestling. Don't take me that way. But there is something wrong when it's all drama all the time. You have to fix whatever is going on and make it work. And I know there's personalities, there's conflicts, there's egos, there's things you deal with on a daily basis that you're just going to have to deal with. Some people you're just not going to like. You're going to have to work with. You're going to have to either work in ring or out of ring with them. You're going to have to just do things you don't like sometimes. But whenever you have the ability to listen to your talent, not only listen to them, but accept what they're saying and try to put it over, it makes something special. I think that's why what I'm about to ask you is very important. Where do you think the aspirations for Forever Pro are really going to go? Because I see it as becoming one of the leading promotions over not only the Southeast, but over America in general, if it can get to that point.
Oh, I definitely think if the stars line up right, I mean, you know, it's about there's a lot of things to do with money, the economy, and the fans. The fans ultimately choose, you know, of who has the best product. And I definitely think we have what it takes to, for sure. It's kind of makes me nervous because I think I was like, definitely North Georgia. I'm like, there's no one that can, you know, and I'm sorry, guys, I don't mean to sound conceited, but there's no one on our level. The talent that we have before us, my marketing knowledge, Ben's booking, you know, the prowess, dude. I mean, the sky's the limit right now. The only enemies we have would be ourselves. I mean, you know, in wrestling is if we don't manage ourselves and our, you know, our egos together properly. Because we all know wrestlers have egos, and so do bookers and
Yes, sir.
everything else. But you know, that's really the hardest part for us, you know, and I don't think that's been a problem. Me, Kevin, and Ben, we get along far better than we actually should.
That's a big thing in this industry, though, is being able to work with people that normally you wouldn't be able to work with. And as far as moving forward, you made a big claim there. And I have to say, I would have to back it up at this point because of how I saw what was going on, the talent that you took inside the locker room. We stayed until after the show. We watched teardown. We watched how people were reacting with each other. And you don't see that type of an environment normally from anybody at any show. It was like they were ready to get it on, get it over with, and get paid and move on. And it was a fantastic thing for Forever Pro. And I've got to put them up on that pedestal because normally at the end of the shows, whenever you go and see people getting paid, it's, I wish I could have done this, or you should have listened to me, or there's all sorts of bickering going on in the back about stuff. There was none of that went on. So I have to give you that. Whoever is, like you said, it was Chris Crunk that was the locker room leader. He's taking it serious because there was none of that going on. And that makes a huge difference inside professional wrestling. Makes a huge difference in any work environment, but especially in professional wrestling. You know how cutthroat it is. You know how very backstabbing the industry can be. And that's putting it lightly. I mean, that's really putting it lightly. So for you all to have a promotion where all three of you are working together, working with your talent together, booking your talent properly, making sure that their ideas are heard, making sure that people understand the storylines that are coming through, and you're doing it for a reasonable price so that the fans can get in, be able to hear it and go through. I have to commend you guys. One of my favorite wrestlers you had there at the VFW a couple weeks ago, Cabana Man Dan. And I'm going to tell you, he's an Alabama legend, but he is absolutely one of my favorite wrestlers. You could put him in the ring with a paper bag and he would make it entertaining. And he did. He made that match that he had extremely entertaining and well. And I got to speak to him afterwards, like we always do. And Jason always comes and he talks to me about something. And he came out to the car, spoke to me for a few minutes. And one of the things he said was, I can't believe how peaceful it is here. That is huge coming from somebody like him. Huge. Yes. So you guys are definitely on the right track. Let's hope that you can keep it up. And I think that you guys could take over if it comes through. Mr. Rocky, for everyone here watching online, I'm just about out of time. I've already showed your YouTube page, but just to reiterate, can you let them know what your YouTube is, also what your Facebook is, all your social media where they can follow you at, Spotify, all of it?
You can find me. Most things are like my Facebook. Just look up Rocky Shaw. You're this pretty mug is going to probably be somewhere on there. You'll know it'll be easy. The 12 gauge is kind of easy to find. Now, as far as YouTube, it's 12 gauge uncut is my YouTube channel. So you can look there, and he showed you the links on there beforehand. So you can just review back on those. Almost everything else, social media wise, is just Rocky Shaw. But usually if you do a search, I keep up the YouTube channel. I uploaded my 510th video this week or earlier today. We are at 341 subscribers. So I'm pushing hard for the 500 that, is that first step. And then that 1,000 is the step that, where I really want to be sitting, because as well as I do with this, guys, support us, because as creators, it costs you nothing to like and subscribe to us.
Right.
But can make the world of difference to us for you just taking that 1 second.
Also speaking about that, as a creator, do you have any merchandise that's available that anybody can get from you, including Forever Pro?
There is Forever Pro. So if you want to come up to one of the shows, we will have one. We will be at the VFW in Chattanooga this Sunday, and we will actually be in Calhoun, Georgia on Friday. So we have the Forever Pro hats. We will have Forever Pro hoodies. We have Forever Pro shirts, and I have a limited supply. Everybody has bought my large, extra large. I have a lot of small and mediums right now, because I don't know what it is, but wrestling fans do not come in small and medium quite as often. So, but I do have a lot of small and mediums. If you want to hit me up, I'll make you some deals in small and mediums, because I need to move some stock to actually, as we said, wrestlers, we take this out of our pocket to order them. So, I have to have some of that money to go back in to reorder stuff. So, but as again, Forever Pro, we got the shirts, we got the hats, we'll have all that merch available. We probably will have a website available that you can do some online ordering from at some point in time. We're still kind of discussing whether it's just so hard right now, to discuss whether Facebook is so much more dominant than the people really go to a regular website anymore. So we're still kind of discussing that and whether it's a viable option.
Now, you mentioned that there's going to be 2 shows taking place, one at the VFW in Chattanooga off of Amnicole Highway, and then the other one's going to be in Calhoun, Georgia, you said?
Yes.
What's going to be the ticket pricing for those to get in general admission?
The general admission, boy, I was on you to catch because Ben does much of that. So I believe that it's $10 general admission on there, and then is the general admission, and I think the front row, right now, we have some deals at 25 for the front row, positioning for that as well. So it's on the poster, and I apologize because I did not review that beforehand.
It's not a problem. We'll correct it if it's wrong. I'll make sure that we get on here and we'll correct it directly through Facebook. You guys can follow it. We'll make sure that we do it. Now, before we go, is there anything you would like to say to anyone who wants to have an opportunity in the business, the wrestling business, in any shape, form, or fashion, or social media and marketing? What could you say to them to encourage them to make sure that they succeed in life?
Believe in yourself. First of all, you've got to learn how to believe in yourself. You've got to learn how to listen. Now, that doesn't mean to listen to anybody. Find a reputable someone. If you're going to have someone train you, someone that knows the business, that has produced wrestlers that actually have went on to do things. Not a guy that's just said, hey, I've trained some wrestlers and I'll train you for $5. That's probably not the guy that you want to. You're going to get hurt, and by the end of the day, it's not worth it. So believe in yourself, find someone reputable, and then work. If it's something you truly want, work your ass off for it and do whatever it can. Your journey will not be like, don't listen to everybody else. My journey wasn't like Ric Flair's. My journey wasn't like Mike Golden's. My journey was Rocky Shaw's. And don't compare anybody else to your journey for that. It's your journey. How it works is up to the fans, and they can lead you anywhere.
Absolutely, Mr. Shaw. I absolutely agree with that 100%. Mr. Shaw, before we go, our last question for you is, do you have any interesting guests coming on your show here recently? We saw a nice little cryptic tweet about one John Cena. We just want to know if the rumors are true.
Oh, well, no, actually, it was having some fun. So it was the "you can't see me" technique that it's actually a playback. Actually, I did on several years ago when I did a vacation, and I posted a picture of me and John Cena having a drink together, and it was just an image. And imagine how many people that actually were looking. They were like, "I can't find him." I like so many comments, and I was like, "Yeah, that was kind of the idea." But no, at the moment, me and Kevin are probably going to do some more things. I do have a lot of people lined up. I want to get Jameson Shook and Chris Crunk on here very soon. I am trying to pin down. I'd love to get Chip Day on here.
Okay.
So we all of us have talked and they've agreed. It's just getting our schedules together.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing in professional wrestling, is getting your schedules together and trying to make sure that it works.
Yes, and for mine, it's a little more difficult because if I can do it, I prefer having someone here with me. I like to do it in person because the chemistry, the chemistry is just
it's a lot better.
And that's my plans if we can make it happen. But we'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out today to come on our show, Wrestle Talk with Rabid Beaver. Rocky Shaw, the 12 gauge himself from 12 Gauge Uncut. I appreciate you being here. It means the world to us that you took time out of your day to be here. I'd also like to thank the fans today for coming in and viewing this all over social media, whether you were on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, if you guys are on Instagram, you guys are on Twitter, you guys are on Kick, Trovo, wherever you guys came in at. Thank you guys so much for being here. The radio version of this will be out later tonight, but it will not be updated on YouTube or Spotify until tomorrow morning. But we will definitely get that out for you to let you guys know. And we'll tag you in it, Mr. Shaw, as well.
Awesome,
and before you guys go, remember that we have merchandise that is always for sale as well. I want to tag each and every one of you guys in it. You can go over to www.streamlabs.com/Arabbidb3aver, just like it's spelled in the green here. And you can see we've got our Wrestle Talk merch, we've got our Camel Toe Adventures merch, and we've got our Nerdy Gaming with a Rabid Beaver merch all up and direct right there. There is shipping and handling that is sold directly into it. We are third party through North Carolina, so we have to do shipping and handling with it. That's going to be an extra charge on top, but we do not make more than $5 on any item that is sold out of our store. We do that so we can keep the cost down for you and make sure that you guys are available. And until next time, thank you all for coming here to Wrestle Talk with a Rabid Beaver, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, guys. Y'all have